What's up guys, it's Scoopman 5000. Today we're back for another action figure review, and we're looking at the WWE Masters of the Universe Rattlesnake Mountain Ring. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a review. I wanted to come back with something big, something I've been holding on to and that I'm excited about. It's finally another ring from the Masters of the WWE line. The big reason for that, me being excited, is that I'm running out of room. I have them all in the gray skull ring, and they're completely out of space. I haven't even picked up Series 4 yet. And now this is going to be a cool way of displaying. You kind of got this as the heel ring, and the other one's going to be kind of the babyface He-Man ring. The ring itself is the exact same with some added pieces, and the same thing goes for the packaging. If you got that bundle last year, it's very similar stuff. You can see the two figures in like their own clamshell up in the corner. The ring's hidden away against some awesome artwork, and on the back you can see more of a description. It reads, "Scale to the top of Rattlesnake Mountain, step through the lava ropes, and stomp a mud hole in any WWE tourney a superstar who thinks they've got what it takes. You better have 24-inch pythons, brother, because only the strong survive." And it's depicting this kind of fantasy clash here between Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this is pretty cool too, because how many times do you get these two in a kind of a two-pack together? It's probably you could probably count on one hand how many times you ever got a Stone Cold and a Hulk Hogan in the same set. So heavy hitters for this line, and the ring also, I kind of see it as an added bonus. But that is going to cover packaging, so let's get to it. Let's take a look at the ring, and then we're going to take a look at the figures. And here we have the Masters of the Universe ring kind of put together in all of its glory, and I had to make this whole setup to work where I could fit this whole ring. Traditionally I review 6-inch action figures. This is a hell of a lot more, especially this one having these gigantic snakes up top. Of course, it's Snake Mountain, so really a big presence of this ring, and I'm very glad to have another ring because there's so many of these figures now, so we gotta have a way to display more of them. And I do have all of my current figures. I have every figure up to Series 3, and I have them all in the gray skull ring, but now I guess I'm going to split it up face and heel, and this will be the heel ring. But I just wanted to get a shot of it kind of all built. It's going to be hard to kind of review it, so what I'm going to do is just kind of intersperse some pictures, some fine details. You can see more about the ring. The defining features are the drawbridge here, resembling of Snake Mountain. The ropes here are kind of interesting. They're made of more like a rubber. You know, you always think of these wrestling rings that have more of like a nylon or something, I guess, but this is a kind of gummy rubber ropes. I think it's so they can get that bright color. Otherwise, I don't know what that's for. And then up top, really cool, are the snakes, of course. They're all the same, all these ring posts. One of them has all the ropes kind of tied onto it at first. You got to untangle everything. And what I really appreciate is that you get a foot peg on top of each of these snakes. That way, you kind of have 4 more display spots for your figures, because this line is getting very crowded. And we do have some high flyers like Finn Balor, Rey Mysterio, and others. So that way, we can kind of stack them up on top of these turnbuckle snakes. And then in the middle, you do have to apply a decal. This time, it is the kind of Snake Mountain logo. I don't think it's as cool as the WWE Retro He-Man kind of logo, but I guess it works for what they're going for here. And we'll start out here with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Comparatively to Hogan, he's just got a bit less going on. I mean, Stone Cold isn't exactly known for his flashy ring gear, but they did do a good job kind of making him into a He-Man-esque character. Kind of surprising they went with the heel route for him, but I guess the snake and the Rattlesnake Mountain, you kind of have to. Kind of just works perfectly. For his accessories, the main He-Man-esque pieces we're getting here are the snake arms. Not too dissimilar to the Sting kind of claw arms that we got in Wave 1. Really cool about this, it's actually kind of a throwback to a Stone Cold t-shirt design where he's got the 2 arms turning into snakes. It's definitely what they were going for here, and I can appreciate that. Cool little callback. And then the other accessory, if you want to call it that, is his entrance vest. You can see on the back it says Rattlesnake. This is an original design for the He-Man line. It's not a ring gear that he ever wore. And that goes for the rest of the figure. You can see he's got these added scales here to represent the snake. That's not something that you ever would have seen on Stone Cold, but it's just to kind of bring him into more of a toyetic Masters of the Universe style. And it goes without saying with this line also, all these parts are removable and interchangeable, so we can remove the vest pretty easily that way. We can just remove his arms. And then we're left with a pretty great figure for customization when it comes to this line. It's pretty much a blank body. You don't even get any kind of wrist tape, which I'm pretty surprised at. And like I said, every single piece of this guy is going to be removable. The torso is going to come apart. The heads pop on and off. So really a great base for customization. It's something to look into for this guy. Like with retro He-Man figures, the current Origins / WWE line also does share like the same sculpts basically from the neck down. So nothing really appears to be new here other than maybe the knee pads. But it would have been cool maybe if he had the knee braces or something like that, just to give him some more character. But where they did give him some little details, he's got kind of snake eyes you could see up there. And then, of course, the scales on the trunks. But other than that, a pretty plain, probably the most plain Masters of the Universe figure we've gotten so far from this line. For the articulation, that's the appeal of this newer wave of Masters of the Universe. You get more articulation in the old school style. Mostly everything is on ball joints, with a few exceptions. The head sculpt not being one of them, you can see it gets this full range of motion, looks up that far, forward that much, and he gets all sorts of tilt, so he can talk smack to Vince McMahon. You saw the shoulder joints in there, they also rotate up, they do all this kind of motion. There is no bicep cut on these guys, they do have a single jointed elbow. See, it's going just about 90 degrees. Then you're getting ball joints as well as wrist hinges. The torso swivels, similar to old Motu figures. And the legs are doing a similar motion to the old school ones as well. You can see that range of motion. You got a single jointed knee. It's kind of blocked a bit by this knee pad. There is a cut at the boot. You do get a hinge and a swivel and also a pretty good ankle rocker at the boot. But that does about do it for the Stone Cold figure. I mean, it's simple, but that's Stone Cold. You look at this, instantly recognizable, and the little touches they added here to make it more of a He-Man character I do appreciate. But with everything on Stone Cold covered, now we'll go ahead and do my favorite part and let's do some comparison. And what a better way to start out than with He-Man and Skeletor from the Origins line, which actually came after this, but using the same parts. This is kind of the main line of Masters of the Universe, and at least if you're a Masters collector, this WWE line's kind of an added bonus. For me, it's kind of the other way around. The wrestling got me into it, and then I have these two so far. I plan on picking up the rest of them. They just haven't been that easy to find in stores, but for now, I got the main two, and they look right next to Stone Cold. And then here's some more heavy hitters from this line. We got John Cena from the original Ring, and then The Rock from, I believe, Series 2. And then for two characters that are going to be kind of joining him on that snake ring, I think we got Sting, and we got The Undertaker Scareglow. Two of the best figures of this line so far, but with comparisons on Stone Cold taken care of, let's go ahead and move on to the main event, and that's Hulk Hogan. For Hulk Hogan, he's got a few accessories, starting out with the battle axe. It's the same one that came with John Cena in Invisible, the same one that came with He-Man in the classic gray. This time it's cast in a bright red to go with the rest of his costume. He's also got a helmet that I guess is reminiscent of Man-at-Arms. I guess it also goes pretty well with the Macho Man figure. Kind of a weird design though. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that on the figure once I display him, but what I am going to keep definitely is the Power Armor He-Man chest piece done for Hulk Hogan. It's done in a rubbery piece, which I didn't expect, but I guess that's how they would do it on a Mattel WWE figure. So here we go with this version, and you can see it's done in the yellow, and you got the red belt and the red H logo painted on in the front. So really cool stuff. You can see the armor's got the Hulk Hogan rips in the back, and pretty useful to be able to take the torso and the head off of these guys. You can get this armor off pretty easily. And unlike Stone Cold, who's got snake eyes and scaly ring gear, what you have right here is a classic Hulk Hogan figure done in the He-Man style. And if you're a collector of something like Remco's, that's definitely going to look really awesome with this. And it's kind of what I wish they did for most of the figures, but it seems like now, especially in these more recent waves, we've been getting more crazy versions of these characters. For me, I'm only going to display these with other Masters of the Universe Origins figures, so it doesn't bother me, but I can definitely see the appeal in getting a pretty much real-life, true-to-life Hulk Hogan figure just done in this style. But with the accessories out of the way, I threw that kind of armor back on him. I think that's just the best look for this figure. And while John Cena was definitely the He-Man of this line at the start, I think that title now has to go to Hulk Hogan. There's just so many similarities. In the look, the blonde hair, the tan skin is a perfect He-Man figure to make. And it's pretty cool that this is kind of battle armor He-Man. When it comes to these figures, there isn't necessarily much to talk about. They're simple, especially just looking at Stone Cold. A lot of the same parts. The big focus here, I guess, is going to be that head sculpt. And overall, I think that looks great. If anything, I think it came out small, though. You could see him here next to Macho Man. Here he is next to Skeletor. And then even Stone Cold from the same set here. Something about his head just looks a little bit small. But if anything, the original He-Man had kind of a small head. So this works. And then I guess when you go ahead and put his helmet on, that's going to add a bit of size. But the helmet looks a little stupid to me. I don't know. It just doesn't really do it for me. I think this is going to be the look I'm going with. But great Hulkster likeness here. The armor's great. The arms, he does have wrist tape, but it's all the same pieces. The yellow trunks are plain. The red knee pads, and then the classic Hulk Hogan boots with the white soles, the white laces, yellow all around them. Like I said, underneath this He-Man Hulk Hogan is just a Remco-styled Hogan figure, so very cool in that aspect. Articulation is going to be similar, so the head is on that ball joint. You're getting a pretty good range of motion, even with the long hair in the back. He looks back that far, forward that much. The armor's rubbery, so it's not really limiting anything. The shoulders are doing the same movements. You got the hinge that goes up, swivels, no bicep cut, single jointed elbow, ball joint and hinge at the wrist. The legs split, they got ball joints, they go back and forward. Single jointed knee is blocked by the knee pad again. The boot cut is there. And then we got the hinges and the ankle rocker at the boot. And now with Hulk Hogan all but taken care of, let's go ahead and do our comparisons. You can see him here with He-Man and Skeletor. I think this looks great. Hulk Hogan, unlike Stone Cold, has some big vibrant colors. He's going to look great with the more traditional Motu Origins figures. And then here he is with the Ultimate Warrior, who again is an example of a character. You take off that armor, you just got a Remco Warrior. Can't say the same for Macho Man. He's kind of got a lot going on with the armored boots and the cap being different. But overall, great looking trio here. Kind of the classic 80s representation that this line has gotten so far. And then here he is with some more colorful cats we didn't look at before. We got the single carded Triple H and the Rey Mysterio. And then just because I have these figures on hand, here he is with the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, Broski and Brian Myers figures from Ringside Collectibles. These are more traditional kind of squatted Remco styled figures, so you can see kind of how he measures up against a more newer styled, articulated version of the same body type. And overall, that's going to do it for the Rattlesnake Mountain Ring, as well as Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold. In the original Rings case, I kind of think that the ring was more essential than the figures. We did get single-carded versions of Cena and Triple H, albeit the Cena was faker and you probably needed the original. But in this case, I think the figures far exceed the actual ring. That being said, I am grateful to get another ring, because like I said, I'm running out of space with this line, and now it's pretty cool that we can kind of set it up, faces versus heels, Castle Grayskull ring versus Snake Mountain ring, and theming it around Stone Cold as the Rattlesnake leader of Snake Mountain. That's creative, but then Hulk Hogan as He-Man, that's just iconic stuff. Kind of would be cool maybe if we get a faker styled version, an NWO Hollywood version of this figure. I think that's just me being the NWO mark. But I know on the retros we did get a repaint of Macho Man, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But overall, I think these two are huge marks on the checklist for who we want to see in this line. And it seemed like this line is no sign of stopping. We got 4 waves, 2 rings. I know there's definitely a wave with like Roddy Piper and NWO Macho and Becky Lynch coming out soon. And overall, really cool figures. I think when these first came out, people were kind of like, what? And they replaced retros. But I do think you got to respect these figures. I think they're doing great. And with the renaissance of He-Man kind of coming into full effect next year, hopefully that means more figures in this line as well. But let me know in the comments what you think of these guys, and are you not interested, and if so, why? Anything like that, let's have a discussion down there. It's been a while since I posted, but if you missed it, recently I did the Ultimate Edition Hollywood, Hulk Hogan, as well as The Fiend Bray Wyatt. I looked at the AEW Blood Brothers. There's also a whole backlog of things like Marvel Legends, DC Multiverse, Ninja Turtles, anything like that, and there's plenty more in the way for 2021. But on Christmas Day, I'm also going to be dropping a surprise, so all that you're going to want to stay tuned for. As always, I'm going to leave this off with some figure photography, and I'll be posting all my figure photography on Instagram, scoopman_5000. But that is going to do it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.